morning. We're going to be talking about goats today, one of our favorite adventures on the farm, and I have my little one with me here. If you hear him in the background, he's helping me with the goats today. We're going to talk about how we got started with goats and some of the basics. I may get into some details in later videos, but I just wanted to do like a broad generalization of how you get started with goats. We started with Nigerian Dwarfs. We had 2 acres to work with in the beginning, so we only started with 2 does. My recommendation is usually to start with either 2 does as babies or to start with a doe and a wether, which is what we have now. But we started with our Nigerian Dwarfs. We bought two half sisters at they were 8 weeks old. One of them I actually got to bottle feed, which was wonderful. This is Amaranth, my husband, feeding one of the 2 sisters. And Sterling, one of my favorite bucks we raised on a bottle. We did have intact bucks on site at one point. This was Milky Way. He was the daddy of most of our little ones, but they are very smelly. They're very sweet, but they do have a very strong stench, so we stopped raising bucks. The Nigerian Dwarfs are great because they're really small and they don't get very big. They're like the size of a small dog or like a beagle size, and they are very sweet and very friendly. So we started with them, started with 2 does. We actually bought the registered Nigerian Dwarfs because it's really easy to sell the babies if they're registered. And we got to 4 does and 2 bucks. And so we had about 6 total at a time. But once we grew, we were looking to buy more land and we wanted a little more milk production. We decided to move on from the Nigerians and start over with Alpines. So that is what we have now. We have our sweet doe. Her registered name is Harriet, but my daughter has renamed her River. So we're going to show you these guys. These are their doe. So this time around, because you cannot buy a goat by themselves, so this time around we got our registered doe and a weathered buddy for her. Oops, caught on the gate there. Okay, I'm going to let little man feed them. Come here, buddy. Joshua, come here, baby. Okay. So this is Harriet. River. She is yes, come on over here. Come here, Josh. Come here. Here, I'll let you can hold them. So they're very sweet. They're friendly. They're a great animal for kids. Here's Joshua. Come here, baby. Here, hold it for him. Let her eat. See? Very right out of your hand. Super sweet. Babies are so playful. We found that they actually liked our toddler toys. So this is our new one. She is our Alpine doe. What we'll do with her is we will breed her in December. This is her buddy. We'll breed her in December. We'll expect babies in about springtime. And once you get the babies, then they'll start milking. After they've had babies and you've weaned the babies, you can milk them, and they'll usually stay in milk for a maximum of 2 years. So the reason we restarted with the Alpines is they can make a gallon a day compared to the Nigerians that will make a pint, 2 pints a day max, maybe a quarter if they're a really good milker. But that was our decision since goats can eat a lot. We had smaller property then, so they ate a nice feed and a lot of hay, and so we had to feed them a lot to keep their milk production. This time around we decided to do 1 milking doe and a weathered friend of hers because she's going to be what we use for our family for milk and yogurt and cheese and soaps, and then as we grow we can add more does, but we really only need 1 for our family. So just to give you a few little short tips about housing, goats are pretty easy to make housing and fencing for. You can basically do a 3-sided shelter. What we did first was we basically built a mini barn for them. My husband's great crafting skill. Yeah, reused wood. That's one thing we've been trying to learn with homesteading, was use what you have before you go out and buy a bunch of stuff, because you're gonna have to put your funds somewhere. So if you already have some wood or something you can repurpose, as long as it's safe for them, start with that. So we had a kind of like a mini barn for them, and then when it was really bad weather, I knew that they were safe. This was my doe Sapphire and her babies in the barn that we built. Now we have a 3-sided shelter that was actually already here, so we just doctored it up and built a fence around it. We like to use T-posts, and we usually use the 2x4 field fencing. and then T-post, and then my husband puts a wooden post along each corner. So the fencing is pretty easy. So let's talk diet. They usually have lots of hay. They will put down some hay. So we use coastal hay, just like a good quality horse hay, because horses have sensitive stomachs. So if they can eat it, then the goats can eat it. I also have started them with a peanut hay. She's still growing, and I want her to be good and sturdy before I breed her, since she's going to be a milking doe. I let them have this peanut hay, and it's a high quality, and the weather likes it too, but I try to keep him from getting too much of it, so it's not too many calories for him or too much calcium. I also like to do a feed especially the ones that are either milking or growing or have nursing, they're nursing their babies. Here is Amaranth and her 2 newborn babies that she is nursing. I will use a non-GMO pellet and just add a little bit of that, but you watch your, everybody's different depending on what your setup is. If you have a lot of grazing area, and if you prefer to do more hay and just a little feed, but not all goats actually need feed. You just make sure, watch your animals, their shape, and make sure that they look filled out and healthy. That's the most important thing. So just to summarize, a couple things to keep in mind when you're interested in raising goats. Number 1, figure out what you're raising them for. Dairy, clearing, meat, or raising babies. What are you interested in? Why you're going to get them. Once you figure out what breed you like and you're interested in, then we found a reputable breeder, and she was actually a vet as well, so we went that route, and we preferred registered, but you can get a good goat that's not registered. We just preferred to go that route so that it was easy to sell the babies. But next, you're going to want to make sure a good shelter, 3-sided shelter at least, to keep from the rain and storms. And then your fencing. We use T-post, wood on the corners, 2x4 field fencing from red wire. And my husband also did cement the wood in, so with storms they could not bring it down. And feed, lots of hay. Either do a coastal or a Timothy hay or whatever's local to you, and do a good quality feed. If you need to add any extra supplements, we prefer non-GMO. And then enjoy. They're absolute pleasure to have. Say bye, guys. Thank you for joining. If you enjoyed, please hit subscribe and the alert button to get all our videos.